Hi, it's Dr. JP, and I'm here with a brief lesson on citing and writing with signal phrases. So, what is a signal phrase? I've been asking students for a long time to use stronger signal phrases in their writing, especially when they're doing research. But some students don't know what signal phrases are or how to use them well, and so I thought I would put together this tutorial to help do that. First, though, I'm going to define signal phrases for you. A signal phrase is a phrase, clause, or sentence, so really anything, that introduces other information. It signals that something new is coming. In researched writing, that's researched information or secondary information, a quotation, a summary, or a paraphrase. In non academic writing or non researched writing, often this is just dialogue. Okay, so other names for signal phrases are quotative frame or dialogue guide. Okay, so I'm going to talk with you about quotative frames for just a second. First, besides the fact that it's fun to say, quotative frame, this name can tell you a little bit about what signal phrases do. If you will pay attention just to the layout of the slide in front of you, you'll see that there's simple black text within a sort of yellowish orange field that's surrounded by a black solid line. This is a frame, right? The frame says, hey, look here, look right here in this slide. This is the important stuff, okay? Picture frames do this just the same way that this slide is doing this. They say, hey, here's a picture. You're going to want to look at it, right? If you do photography, even if you just take selfies with your phone, right, you'll frame a shot. And the way that you frame that shot changes the way that the viewer looks at it. So you're framing, you're guiding the eye of your reader. As far as dialogue guides are concerned, I wanted to show you how this works with just dialogue from literature. This is a passage from near the end of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. And this is Walton and the creature conversing over the dead body of Victor Frankenstein. Sorry for the spoiler if you haven't read Frankenstein yet. Watson says, at length I gathered resolution to address him in a pause of the tempest of his passion. Your repentance, I said, is now superfluous. If you had listened to the voice of conscience, Frankenstein would yet have lived. And do you dream, said the demon? Do you think that I was then dead to agony and remorse? He continued, pointing to the corpse, he suffered not more in the consummation of the deed. So, what do these dialogue guides do for us? Here they are. The first thing you might be thinking is, why is it more than just I gathered, I said the demon, and he continued? Why is this other stuff bolded and underlined? Well, because this other stuff is also signaling the reader. Shelley includes it to tell us how to read the passage. So, in the first instance, Watson has to gather his courage, he has to gather his strength to talk to the creature, and what's more, he has to find a pause in the tempest of the the creature's passion. The creature is really remorseful over the death of Victor Frankenstein, and therefore Walton has to sort of insert himself, okay? Then said the demon, right, is pretty cut and dry. It's very clear. And then he continued, pointing to the corpse. It tells us a lot about how Walton sees the creature. This is more like the kind of writing that my students are doing right now, non-academic or researched articles. The example comes from this Washington Post article that maybe you've seen floating around social media, why outbreaks like coronavirus spread exponentially and how to flatten the curve. You'll see that they've got these dot simulations, right? It's by Harry Stevens. It was published on March 14th, 2020. So this is a really straightforward signal phrase from the article. The spread can be slowed, public health professionals say, if people practice social distancing. So this signal phrase isn't very specific, but that's okay. It's not just one public health professional that's saying this. It's lots of them, okay? Now, the signal phrase doesn't tell you where they've said it. If he talked to a bunch of them, if he heard it from a friend, if he found it in a journal, okay? So the next thing that he does is to include a link. Now, this link isn't clickable in the video, but I'm going to share the presentation and it'll be clickable there. This link takes you to another Washington Post article that talks about the public health opinion that social distancing works. Here's another example from Stevens' article. Leanna Wynn, the former health commissioner for the city of Baltimore, explained the impracticalities of forced quarantines. That is the signal phrase at the beginning here. Then Stevens gives us a citation to the Washington Post in January. The signal phrase continues all the way through that link, but I've highlighted the link so that you can see he's not only signaling what's coming, he's giving you the place to find it. The next one is when said, and then he's got Lawrence Gostin, a professor of public health law at Georgetown University, put it, the truth is those kinds of lockdowns are very rare and never effective, and these are like forced quarantine, right? So, two different signal phrases here, but they do pretty much the same thing. You can tell from this that he's read Wynn's article, okay, and maybe also talked to her. You can tell from the Gostin signal phrase that he talked to him. Here's a different one. The placement of the signal phrase is different here, as you can see. We control the desire to be in public spaces by closing down public spaces. Italy is closing all of its restaurants, China is closing everything, and we are closing things now too, said Drew Harris, a population health researcher and assistant professor at the Thomas Jefferson University College of Public Health. Reducing the opportunities for gathering helps folks social distance. So, why is this signal phrase important? How's it working? Well, first, Stevens has varied his approach. Now it's in the middle of the sentence. It makes it read a little differently. Next, we know who Drew Harris is. If he just said Drew Harris, we'd had no idea who he was talking about. He's a population health researcher, and he's an assistant professor, and he's both of those things at this particular public health institution. Stevens doesn't stop there with this quotation and signal phrase. He adds some context cushioning above to help readers frame the quotation, to help them understand it in the way that he wants them to get it. More social distancing keeps even more people healthy, and people can be nudged away from public places by removing their allure. Then, Drew says, we control the desire to be in public spaces by closing down public spaces. This helps that we control the desire not to just come out of nowhere. This cushions that. Now, to recap, how do signal phrases help? Well, first, they offer some clarification. Who's talking to whom? What's going on? The second thing they do is to give us a form of citation, especially in non-academic contexts. Where does this information come from? How did you get it? 3, signal phrases can help to boost ethos and logos, that is, credibility, and the message itself. They can help readers to know, why does this matter? Well, it came from somebody smart. Sorry, that I had do not disturb on. I don't know why that came through. Then, but I'm not going to start over because I'm almost at the end. 4, readability. They help us to know just what's going on, right? And varied signal phrases can vary your article in lots of ways and help to keep things interesting. So that's it. If you have questions, email me, hit me up on Remind, GroupMe, or D2L, or you can send me a message at Instagram at HeyDrJP.